Hello everyone, it's Gigabeef here, and today we're going to be looking at a very special armor in 12.12 that I think has the potential to be one of the best value armors in the whole game right now, which is the Redut T5, and let me explain why. High-end armor has gotten really tricky in 12.12, which is honestly a good thing overall for the game, because there is now usually a trade-off to be made between each of them. Both Class 5 and Class 6 have historically been used by endgame players for a variety of reasons. For example, when the old killer armor was able to be purchased on the fleet, this was favoured by some players because of its low movement penalties combined with stomach protection. These days, however, in Class 6, you can only access 3 of the 6 armors via the traders. The Zabralo is the most protective armor in the game, but heavy, slow, and relatively expensive, between 350 to 400k, depending on what the items for the 3 different barters are pricing at the time. Slicks, the old meta favourite, are constantly sold out at Ragman 4, give no stomach protection, leading to a real risk of getting killed without the armour ever being used, and are not cheap either. This armour took a real nerf when the damage model on blacked out limbs was changed, as the old version allowed these to soak up much more damage than you would expect, which is not the case anymore. Lastly, there is the Thor from Ragman 4, but this is too expensive at a fixed 420k and not worth it in my opinion, as it has an average level of durability for a Class 6 armor, but spread across the arms too, and has bad movement debuffs. With that price tag, you may as well grab a Zabralo instead. Then in Class 5, we have the budget armors of the Karund and the Gazelle at the bottom, which are cheap but low durability, the mid-tier armors of the Tactec, the Redut M and the Gen 4 mobility, which are in the 200 to 250k region, and the Gen 4 full at around 330k. These all scale up in effective durability, but up in cost as well, as you might expect. However, at the top here we have the Redut T5, otherwise known as the Samurai armor. This historically has pretty much been unused in the past, with better options always available, but in 12.12 it has looked interesting right from the start. This is primarily because of the barter, which is 6 gas mask air filters and 2 paracord. However, you have to reach Ragman 4 and have completed his quest supervisor to get access. I have reserved judgment on this armor since the start of the patch, when I suspected that this might be a steal, but it was hard to tell as almost no one had access to it. This is what I said at the time. For only 6 air filters and 2 paracords, it is kind of looking like a bit of a bargain at around 140k-ish though, so that's one to keep an eye on. Looking at it now with a clear view, it's pretty much as I expected, and there's a few reasons why this barter is so cheap. The main bulk of the purchase requires filters, which used to be more expensive because they were part of the 5.56 meta 60 random mags barter, but the other items in this barter are green batteries, which are now hyper expensive, and that makes this barter terrible value, along with the fact that 5.56 is not meta this wipe either, leading to virtually no demand for these items. What puts even more pressure on the air filters is that they are a product of the gas mask craft. This is by far the shortest craft in the laboratory, and players use it as an in-between craft to cycle whilst maximising their skill points in the hideout. Because of the way hideout skills work, cycling between 2 different crafts prevents skill exhaustion on crafting experience if you just craft one thing over and over, and each item also gives you a fixed amount of XP. This makes fast crafts like this one really high value for training the skill up, and as such players will even buy gas masks higher than the filter's price and effectively spend money to level their character. The other minor component with only 2 required is paracord. This is a little more used as it's a component of the sick case barter, but given players only typically get a small number of these, plus using the red rebel extracts with paracord doesn't use the cord up either, this pushes prices to a fairly low level. If you catch both of these items at the right time, you can snag them for well under 20k. I've been keeping an eye out and using these armors a lot recently, and as you can see there are some awesome bargains to be had. Buying both sets for 17k a piece is not impossible, and this makes the armor 136,000 rubles, cheaper than buying a Gazelle armor from Ragman in cash. So the next question, what does the Redut T5 actually do for us? To start with, it has a ridiculous amount of effective durability. If this is the first time you're watching my videos and you're not familiar with the concept, head over to my Class 5 armor guide where it's explained in more detail, but the TLDR is that both in-game durability and material matter for comparing durabilities between armors, and the T5 has the highest effective durability of all the armors in the game. Being Class 5, it doesn't quite compare to the Class 6 Zabralo, but it's still very strong. You get thorax, stomach, and arms protection, which is normally not that great because arm shots take protection away from your thorax due to the shared durability of the whole armor, leading to a greater possibility of dying to a chest shot instead, but this is less of a problem for armors with a really high durability because it takes a lot of hits to get them low. Take a look at this clip here. I pop out of a doorway and get blasted in the chest with a shotgun. Unfortunately, I don't actually know which round it was because I forgot to go back to the body. My guess is flechette, as they're everywhere at the moment, but given it was a double barrel, it could have been anything. However, the T5 took full brunt at point blank and went from 100 to 80 durability in game, which is pretty awesome. The biggest problem with it is the minus 37% movement debuff, which is pretty rough and incidentally is the worst in the game overall. But in 12-12 with inertia, you're not skipping around corners and quick peeking people anymore anyway, so this was an indirect buff to the lower movement speed armors especially. It can be tough crossing open spaces, especially if you are overweight and struggling with stamina, but when sprinting, if you are able to manage your endurance, it doesn't feel too bad actually. This also gets better as you level up too. For the record, I have 28 endurance and 21 strength as of the time of recording, so I am by no means an elite level Chad. But as I said, this would only make the armor feel even better as those levels increase. There's one more problem with the Redut T5 armor that has been recently solved, which is that of repair cost. Even with Prapor, a zeroed version of this guy costs 121k to repair and will only take you to around 85 out of 100 once done. Given you can sell the zeroed one back to Fence, you may as well just buy a new one using the barter. From Skier, this is 228k, and Mechanic is an insane 377,000 rubles to repair it from zero. However, in April 2022, BSG added weapon and armor repair kits to the game. These repair somewhere between Skier and Mechanic and are insane value for high level and expensive armors given where they're selling on the flea market. Right now for me, at 400k, using 158 points of the 1200 total in the repair kit means that you can use it 7 times before being depleted. This puts it at 57k per use, which is half the price of the Prapor version, and for a much better repair, this really is an enormous buff to all high durability, high repair expense armors like the T5, the Zabralo and the Gen 4 Full. I personally think the repair kits are such good value currently if you're repairing high-end armor that I've bought 5 as I'm scared that the price is going to go up when everyone realizes how good they are. However, it all depends on the armors you're looking to repair, so it's not worth it for everybody. In conclusion, the Redut T5 is quickly becoming one of my favourite armors to run with a thick kit, and paired with something like the Tagilla helmet or an Altin can really make some fights feel super unfair. As it's class 5, you will still die to a sustained burst of 762 BP or 2 M61 rounds like everything else in the game, so it's not an instant I win button, but even the Slick or the Zabralo are no exception there either. But even against BP, the high effective durability does make it a possibility to absorb 2 shots where other armors would crumple after the first due to the armor damage, and players using rounds with less than 45 pen seriously need a lot of bullets to take you down. Finally, I'm going to show 2 clips with the Redut on where I'm pretty sure I would have been dead wearing anything else, so take a look at that to see it in practice. As usual, a big shout out to all my patrons who help keep the channel improving, and to my Giga patrons who've gone above and beyond with their support so far. Thank you everybody.
Boy.
Don't even know if this is worth it, to be honest, whether I just try and leave. I'm going to heal the stomach and then we're going to leave. I've got very little HP. Not enough the junk pouch yet? No, the junkie pouch. Still very good. Still very good. Full damage. Oh, you had BS. 545 BS. Oh! Boys! But this armor is coming in clutch. Armor is coming in clutch. 46 out of 100. Redut. Let's use this. My goodness! In that case, do you think you would have been dead with the gazelle? Yeah, for sure. For sure. If you learnt something, please consider dropping a like and a comment on the video. To see when I'm streaming, you can follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Check out our Scav Talk podcast in the links below. And with all that said, I'll see you next time. And as always, have fun in your raids.